about 6 months later, I got selected for Bogota.
So we're in 88 now when you get selected?
Early 88,
Okay.
yeah. And then I go to Spanish language school and was in language school for 7 months in Virginia at the Foreign Service Institute and learning language, Spanish language. There was 5 people in the class, and we sat in the classroom for 6 months, 6 and 7 months.
Wow.
8 to 5 and learning Spanish, just a room smaller than this.
Yeah.
And they were Department of State officials, and I think one ATF guy that was going to go to Mexico. And they were teaching us the language. But our professor always told us, hey, you married guys here, pay real good attention here in class, because when you get Colombia or when you get to your designation, you're not going to really have a chance to speak a lot of Spanish outside of the office because you're going to go home to your families and speak English probably. That's if you had, I should clarify.
Were you married?
Well, I should clarify one thing. Families weren't allowed to come to Colombia at that time. So it was if you brought your wife. You couldn't bring kids at that time. And I was not married. And the professor would say, for you single guys, when you get to Colombia,
You're going to have fun.
you will learn what a long-haired dictionary really looks like. And you're scratching your head. The bottom line is you're going to be out. You're going to have some drinks. You're going to go out for dinner. You're going to socialize.
Yeah.
It was a very addictive job. You worked your ass off. But then again, you were human. So you went out periodically and you had fun wherever it may be, whatever might have been a nightclub or whatever. But there were also times when there were threats involved against us where we couldn't go to any places and you had to go to the office and go straight home or whatever the case may be.
When you're doing this though, and in these classes, it's obviously a few months after you get assigned. Did you, when you got the assignment, did you have any idea? Did they give you details of what you would be doing down there, or was it just like we're sending you down to the task force? You'll figure it out later?
What would happen is you would call agents and say, "What's it like? What do you do down there?" And and when I went down there,
I don't know.
I got involved with a lot of different operations in my 7 years there. I ran a cargo smuggling program that was responsible for seizing multi-dozen tons of cocaine throughout the world because cargo ships and aircraft that were leaving. I was involved in this cargo smuggling program. I ran it with a customs guy. I was involved with the fugitive extradition program. I was very proud of that program. I was also involved in a program that I helped create called Operation Dustbuster, where we seized airplanes from drug dealers in Colombia, and we would utilize small little vacuums that had a little pouch in it that would save all the particles in the airplane, and we would send that off to the lab. And if we had a certain percent of cocaine residue, we knew that plane was utilized to smuggle drugs. Operation Dustbuster, we would seize airplanes. We were
What
responsible.
a name.
I named it. I named it. Yeah, I was pretty proud of that one.
That's incredible.
So we were responsible for the very first drug smuggling plane to be seized, and the Colombians ultimately took it, painted it white, green, put their numbers on it. It became a Colombian aircraft. So I got involved with a whole bunch of things. I was then assigned to the intelligence unit there, and then ultimately they had a huge shakeup. I was working in the intelligence unit on the drug smuggling program through cargoes, and they had this all-office meeting, and they said, "Okay, folks," and I was kicking ass. I was doing great. It was called the operation was called Backlash, Operation Backlash. And I was killing it. It was easy for me by this time. I had informants in Cartagena and Barranquilla and all over the country telling me where drugs were being smuggled into cargo shipments, whether they put them in a box of coal that they're shipping to another country, or whatever. There would be or fruit going to Miami, stuff that was in these cargo containers. And so I had the forms all pre-printed out. I had contact with agents all around the world. I could make a phone call to one person, and boom, we're going to have a team on this. So my point is, this is one of the assignments I had. And so they call an all-office meeting, and they say, "We've decided we're going to do some changing around here." And I'm sitting in the back and thinking, okay, my job's secure, meaning I'm doing a great job.
What year is this?
This would have been in 90.
Oh, okay. Can I stop
no, wait,
you?
this would have been in 91, more or less. Go ahead.
Can I stop you
Sure.
just before we get all the way
Sure.
there? Because what's clear is obviously you did a lot there. You were originally, I believe you told me, were assigned there for 2 years. You ended up being there for 7. So
yes, it's 2-year increments with a maximum of 6, but I stayed an extra year because I asked for I appealed my transfer. It was even a promotion that I delayed because I wanted to finish the case. I was zeroing in on the guy that kidnapped the 2 agents and shot him in 1982. I caught him in October of 95, and after we caught him, I was out of the country within a week. I went back home. So there were a lot of different assignments that I had over the time.
But when you go down there, so you learn the language and you go down there, and you already highlighted some of the stuff you were doing. But day one, you know, what's actually, let me back up for a second. Before then, this is a more important question. At what point does Pablo Escobar, like, the idea of him come on your radar where you're thinking about it every day?
Let me pick up where I was. I was. We called the office. They called the office meeting.
In 90?
No. It was 90, 91, sometime around there. I forget exactly. But they said, we're going to make changes. And I'm thinking, well, my job's secure. I'm not going to be assigned to this. Or I might go on a jungle program, temporary assignment, which I did all that stuff as well. But the very first name they mentioned, the first person we're going to transfer from the intelligence group over to the other group, Operation Boulevard, is Ken Magee. And my jaw about hit the ground because I was very tight with the boss, Joe Toft, and the other guy. And he said, you're now assigned to the Medellin group.
And that was Operation Boulevard.
Yeah, along with Murphy and Pena and a handful. I don't think Murphy was there yet. Pena was there. Pena got there before me.
And they're just for people, I think we said this earlier, but they're the 2 main
characters
protagonists within Narcos.
Exactly. Again, Hollywood took their liberties and their creative geniuses and molded this whole thing to just make the whole search like that was Steve and Javier. Believe me, they did a great job. They're very good agents, but it was a team effort.
Right.
And there's a lot of things on Narcos that are not in alliance with the way we really operate in DEA.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.